I'm Gold Derby editor Daniel Montgomery here for our Meet the Experts panel of film producers. I'm joined by James L. Brooks and Julie Ansell from Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. Elizabeth Raposo from Creed 3. Justine Conte from Killers of the Flower Moon. Fred Berner from Maestro. And Bruce Cohen and Tonia Davis from Rustin. Now, to start, as I've talked to all of you individually, what comes through very clearly is that filmmaking is an incredibly involved and time-consuming process that requires a lot of patience. How do you push through any doubts or setbacks or delays that you might experience over the course of making any particular film? Start with Bruce.
Well, it goes, I think, directly to the core of what we do as producers. Is there are going to be problems, there are going to be setbacks. That is guaranteed. If we've done a good job of prepping the film, that's really our job on the set. Is you're literally just standing there waiting for people to bring you the problems of the day, and oh boy, do they bring you the problems of the day. I don't think any of us have ever had a day of producing that someone didn't bring us a problem at some point, most likely within the first 15 minutes of arrival. So, that's the job, and the hope is that you're so invested in love with the material, passionate about the project, that it's more than worth it to try and figure it out. And you're always trying to look at what's the best solution to the problem being presented. It's got to work creatively, and it's also got to work budget, schedule, and financially wise, or else it's not the right answer. Trying to solve the problem in the best way possible, and then implementing the solution.
Liz?
Yeah, I can't say it better than Bruce did. I mean, it's a simple fact. Every movie has problems, and that's okay. And it's what you bring to the table in terms of the solutions and making sure the artists are supported. And if you can handle them without, taxing the director or actor's time too much, then that's a win.
Jim and Julie?
Well, I think part of it too is just the team that you have around you, is so important, so that any, the myriad of problems that you cannot foresee ever that suddenly appear in front of you, you have everyone who has the same vision and the same, hopefully, love for the material, that, you come together and figure it out.
The thing that's hard is if anybody doesn't have the passion for it, you do, because you go nuts. I mean, you're supposed to be legally insane. The movie counts more than it should in any rational universe, but you want people to join you in that.
Fred?
It's very literal. You guys are all totally nailing every single aspect of it, but it's complete. In my mind, it's very literal. People say, well, what does a producer do? And I just go back to the word, which is you make something from nothing. And there's an idea, or there's a group think or an appetite, and then there is this thing, and you nurture it, and you push it, and you nudge it, and you
protecting it. I think
I'm
that's
sorry? And protecting it. Absolutely. And there's so many different versions of that, and one of them is creating a space where people can feel loved and do what they do really well. I mean, this is one of the things we did, I think, beautifully with Maestro, and Bradley Cooper put that vibe out in the largest possible star-like way, and in deeply inclusive, and found a way to instill in everybody the same love for Leonard Bernstein. So it always starts with, whether it's the Rocky franchise, or whether it's a Judy Blume book, or Bayard Rustin, or Osage County, or any, you hopefully enlist and corral and protect and nurture and almost father or mother or into being. You just bring it into being and use everything you got. I think.
Justine?
Yeah, I mean, I think that none of us would really be doing this if we didn't all actually love all these problems and challenges. It's kind of why we chose to produce and not do something else behind the scenes. It's what's exciting about it, and for me, when I was working on this movie, I kept having a hard time thinking of how to put it into words. But of course, like the end product is, is it. You're trying to make an incredible movie, you're trying to tell a story. But I just kept seeing how the process was as important as the product, the process of making this film and all the Osage people working with us and the local people who we were training. And every single person who worked on this movie, as challenging as it really was, like their entire lives were changed by it. And for me, that was as moving as even just watching it on screen, just knowing that the process we went through to create this had changed so many people's lives. And so all the problems we had on the days and all the setbacks, it was all part of that process, and it's really special.
Tonia?
All of you have spoken so eloquently about it, and something that George always said, and this line is in the movie actually, Bayard says, you cannot kill an impulse before it is born. And I think that producing actually is protecting a film before it exists, and protecting the space for it to become, and protecting the space for the artists to work and to find the film. And everything really comes from that. So it's this insane belief that this special thing is going to exist, that it's going to be meaningful, that it's going to hopefully make people laugh and feel and think and emote somehow. So it's that insane belief coupled with the sort of like fierce protective energy of I will do anything to help this get born. So
there's the best acting teacher. I'm sorry, but the best
I'm just saying
acting
it's on the planet.
I was just saying, it's so interesting you say that. The best acting teacher I know has one rule: never sit on an impulse.
Jim, you said something to me many decades ago. I was sitting in a restaurant and I was sitting with the director, and we were putting together Miss Firecracker, and you came over to us and you said, what are you guys doing, man? And I said, well, we're getting ready to shoot Miss Firecracker. We're going to Mississippi. We're like really excited. And you were so clear. You said, well, you should really enjoy this moment, because this moment at this moment right now is as good as it's ever going to be. And I went,
That's
all
me.
right.
Yeah.
I remembered it, man. It's a long time ago, but thank you. And I cherished it always. So thanks.
And it's just in general, what draws you to a particular product or project that makes you want to put all of that work and love and effort into nurturing it? Liz?
A wonderful question. I think, for me and for Michael and the films that the films and television we produce together, it all comes down to sort of theme and character. Is it relatable? Can you see yourself in that story in some way? Do we think audiences will engage and be moved by it? We have a great responsibility and the honor of our jobs is that we get to tell great stories and move people. And so I think if I'm stripping it all the way down to the essentials, it's probably that.
We're sort of big on writer's primacy. I mean, and almost always the writer directs the work or produces the work.
Fred?
You can get a little, it's, and there's two things. I said it earlier, which is, one is I have to be able to stay interested in it for a really long time and let it be a constant discovery, because it's going to take that, and so if you can find something, we've all had things that have fallen away. So there are the things that have remained, and they are probably because we've remained interested, curious, and passionate about it. The rest of the stuff that sort of follows, which can be a little, I don't know, self-important at times, but I like to think, and one of the things I think all the films that I've heard everybody talk about, with Maestro, one of the things that seems to be up for me these days, and I'm really proud that having developed it for so long, it's landing in the world in this moment, which is two things can be true at the same time. there are a lot of things that there are nuances. No one needs to be defined as simply one thing. And putting that out in the world, I feel pretty great about. I wish there were more of it. And so in a funny way, your question tends to evolve along with the times that we're living in, I think. And, you know, Judy Blume and Bayard Rustin and Native people couldn't be more timely in this moment. And there's complexities to all of that, and they're worthy of so much discussion, and hopefully it will all, you know, catalyze that. And then of course it's just show business and we love it. So it's like, I don't know how else to describe it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with everything that Fred was saying. I think it's also, you know, things just sort of find you in a way as well. You know, I found myself at Marty's company, and then I found myself on this film with this story that I'd never even known about. And then it became my passion, you know, and I think it's finding the stories you want to tell, but also being open to let them come to you. And I think if you just sort of go with that and go through life with that openness, you'll find the story and you'll find the films that really speak to you. And everything, you know, everything that Fred said, you know, you have to be passionate about it for a long time.
Tonia?
I mean, just to echo what everybody's always said, I think that if it makes you think and it makes you feel and it maybe makes you laugh and it maybe makes you look at the world just a little bit differently, then that's material that's speaking to you. But also at Higher Ground, it's not really about me. It's really about President and Mrs. Obama. And why did they start this company? And what is it that they really want to get behind and produce? And for them, it's really, you know, it's two things. Number one, who's the filmmaker? Who are they backing? Who's the person who they're lifting up? Because we all know, and I think probably everybody on this Zoom agrees that, you know, the movie really begins when the filmmaker and the writer sit down for the first time. That's the moment. And so for the Obamas, it's very much about filmmaker, and it's very much about how does the story embody the values that they've always cared about and that they've always championed. And with telling the story of Bayard Rustin, not only do we get to tell about Bayard and this history from the man who you didn't actually know before, but it's also really the story of all of the young people who worked hand in hand with Bayard and with the other leaders of the civil rights movement every day for 8 weeks and for 8 years and for longer to change this country and make it into and make it just a little bit better every day. And so the notion for us is, you know, what is the story? How does it embody the values of the Obamas, either directly or indirectly? And then who's the filmmaker? And does it feel like this person is really ready to make, you know, both great work and to do it in a respectful and inclusive manner? And there was no question on either Bayard or George Wolfe in this case.
And Bruce?
And I'll just add, I'm in such agreement with everything everyone said. You know, part of a version of what we're all saying is the bar for selecting these projects is really high because we know how much work it's going to be. We know how much time it's going to take. We know how much blood, sweat, and tears is going to be involved. So, you know, we're really, all of us, we're looking for projects that either have the potential to entertain the world in such a special way or to change the world with our messages, or both. And more often than not, if we don't feel like the project, which all of these do, if we don't feel like the project has the potential to do that, we know that it's just too much time and energy and work and hardship to try and push that rock up the hill.
Well, I want to congratulate all of you again on the work you've done. Again, one of my favorite things about panels is how different the work all is, you know, how much work goes into it from each of you. So thank you so much for talking with me about it today, and it's been a pleasure for all of you.
You bet. Very proud to be in all of your company, and it's nice to see you guys after all this time. So
likewise.
Congrats, everyone. So nice to see you.